Go. All right. It's the Jeff and Matt show coming at you once again this week. We are trying to work out the live stream thing here. This is not as easy as people think it is, but we will get it figured out at some point. This week, we want to talk about unity, how the country is going to unify. We've got President Biden talking to us about democracy and unity, and democracy, and those sorts of things. And we that sounds good to me. I want unity. I want democracy. I want the republic to continue. And so the question of the week, generally speaking, is how are we going to unify? That's our question. So I'm gonna let you launch off on this, Jeff, and
You want me to?
us. Oh yeah,
Okay.
you got to get first dibs on this because you're the majority party. You got to tell us how.
Majority party. Okay, that's
Yeah,
right.
we want
proud to be the majority party now.
Well, we won't
No?
make claim to any party. I don't put you in any party. You don't put me in any party. But let's say, for instance, you were the Dems. You understand when they're calling for unity. What is it exactly we are calling for here?
Yeah. Dem or Republican doesn't matter, but I'm definitely the liberal and you're more conservative. There you go. How about that?
Fair enough.
Do you want to put a definition?
Fair enough.
So, with that said, during the inauguration address that Biden put out, he came back about, repairing the soul of America. He wants to unify not just the people, but he wants to unify our leaders, because we have representatives from all corners of the United States that are there in Congress, right? And he made a very succinct speech that he wants that to happen. Now, some people didn't listen to it, or maybe they didn't want to listen to it, or they're trying to find some hidden meaning throughout the speech that he's trying to, take away their guns in the middle of the speech or something like that. But that is not happening. He actually wants this to happen. Now, he spent years, decades in the Senate. He knows how to work with these guys. He's worked on a lot of bills throughout those years, and he had to work in a bipartisan way. Now, he had to work in a partisan way in some fashion, too, because he had to be loyal to his party. But he also, to get things passed, you need to work in a bipartisan way, especially back then. Nowadays, everything is partisan.
Yeah.
Whoever rules gets to make the rules. Whoever, has the majority gets to do what they want to do. Then when the new majority comes in, they get to undo what the other guy did. We're playing all these games now. We need to work together. So I thought it was a big olive branch that Biden met with the 10 senators this last week.
Sure.
And said, hey, you've got a plan, present it to me. You've already seen my plan. Tell me what's wrong with mine. And he didn't meet with him for 5 minutes. He actually met with him for a few hours. And I don't know what was said in there. I don't think anybody did. There wasn't a lot of reporting of, or I don't think people shared a lot in there. But if he was in there for a few hours with him, with just Republican senators, he hasn't had Democratic senators in there yet. He's only had Republican senators in there. He's trying to make this work, right? And they didn't offer up another plan. They offered up another plan that was way far gone. They don't want to negotiate. So now we're going to get the plan through reconciliation, which is we don't have to have the majority. We don't have to break the filibuster. Right. We just don't do it with a majority vote. And even last night we had how many votes did they have yesterday? 600 or something, somebody said, which I can't believe it actually happened because it takes them an hour and a half to do one vote. But
that's weird, yeah.
Vice President Harris tiebreaker on several of them. So she was available. She was able to do the tiebreaker. So everybody's voting on party lines, which is really sad. It's not the unity that I was expecting. And I was really hoping that the Republicans would, and I'm not saying they have to do everything the Democrats want. What I'm saying is they need to work together.
Right.
Right.
So again, I think that's the concern of us conservatives. That's the concern of the Republicans. Is okay if we want unity, then we've got to have some genuine compromise.
Right.
And I think what just from my perspective, looking at what President Biden has done so far, especially via executive action, which I agree, it's this whole, okay, you've got a pub in, for 4 years or 8 years, and he does all these things, and then you have a Dem in for 4 years or 8 years, and he does all these things by executive action. That kind of thing, I think, needs to stop. However,
but you're using the Republican very, very generally by including Trump as a Republican, first of all, and he didn't do anything. He didn't do any legislation. He just did a bunch of off the cuff or off the hip executive orders, and most of the executive orders that Joe's done so far are just canceling his executive orders that really didn't mean anything, that were just vindictive. Take the Muslim ban, who wanted the Muslim ban? He did that to basically appease his base. He threw some red meat for him. So canceling that, I can see his base going, oh my God, they're going to let all the Muslims in. No, they're not going to. Everybody's going to be vetted just like they always have been. All it is just rolling back all those things that Trump did to keep his base with red meat. So now it's legislation.
But see, that's part of the the way you're speaking here. I think the rhetoric is part of the problem at this point, because again, if you want to draw in Trump's base, I mean, they're part of the country, right? I mean, 74, right, 75.
Absolutely.
If you want to draw Trump's base in, and forgive me, the approach I would not take is to say, well, Trump did all these meaningless things that were just red meat to you bunch of savages, and I'm going to reverse all that because you're a bunch of savages, and this needs to be reversed. Okay, that's not how Trump's base looks at. And again, the Trump's base doesn't look at the travel bans from certain countries as a Muslim ban. They don't look at it that way. They look at it. They look at it as a national security issue that they take very, very seriously. All right, and so that's where I see the lack of consideration. As far as, okay, we want to unify, but the message I'm hearing is that we're going to unify. And if you guys don't get on board with our agenda, then you are the ones who are being not participating in unity. If you don't fully buy into what's going on here with the executive orders or whatever the case may be, then you're the ones that are to blame for lacking unity. And so, but when there's questions about, okay, why did we stop building the wall? Okay, so now on one side of it, you say, well, that's a complete waste of money, waste of time. It doesn't do anything. All right. Well, that sounds like something that might be better framed in this. I mean, if Biden wanted to do it, if you said, okay, these travel bans from some countries that tend to import certain terroristic elements. We're worried about that. That's a national security issue. However, let me explain to you why I'm reversing this. Because what we see is we understand Trump's Trump base. We understand your concerns about these issues of national security. But here's what we're doing to ensure that these sorts of things aren't going on. We felt like Trump overreached here, and we're just trying to dial it back a little bit and kind of put it more in the middle of who we are as a country, so on and so forth. But I'm not hearing that kind of language from the administration.
Well, I am hearing that kind of language because every time he signs an executive order, it doesn't come out on Twitter. It doesn't come out on the news and somebody interpreting the executive order. Joe actually sits down and he makes an address about each and every executive order that he's signed, what it does, what it's reversing, what it's for, who it's for, and how it works. We never got that out of our previous president. So what I'm saying is that people have to listen too. So the red meat eating base, if that's what they are, I don't think they're bad people. I have a lot of them with friends and family that are part of that base. So I mean, they're certainly not bad people. It's just that they need to open their ears too now, because things are different now. The Democrats are the majority, and things are going to be done differently. They're going to be following the Democratic platform, not the imaginary Republican conservative platform that's unpublished.
Okay, well, see now again, that's where if I were in Biden's shoes, um, that's that's the kind of rhetoric I would try to avoid. Is you all you all don't even have a published platform. We're following the
Well, that's me saying that to you. I'm poking you a little
Okay.
bit. Okay.
Well, but what I'm looking for from the president, I have yet to hear a word from him that says to me, "Hey, we have you 75 million who voted for Trump. We have your best interests at heart."
He has to.
Yeah. Well, where? I mean, I'd be interested.
He said it in one of his speeches. He does a presentation about 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Okay. It doesn't get on the national news. You maybe don't see it in the evening or whatever, but usually noontime, 2 o'clock, something like that. I have the luxury of working at home, so I get to see most of what he puts out, and also what Psaki or what?
Jen Psaki or Jen Psaki or
Psaki or
yeah.
Psaki? Yeah, it is. I think the P's silent on that one. But
yeah.
Anyway, Jen Psaki, she's a breath of fresh air. Oh my gosh, she actually shows up at the podium every day and answers questions every day. She doesn't always answer every question the way people want them to. Want her to, or she doesn't answer and says, "I'll get back to you," and she does. Ready? That is a breath of fresh air. So, and she answers on both sides. What I am missing, though, I think on those news conferences is I don't see Newsmax in there. I didn't see OAN in there.
They don't have press passes.
They don't have press passes anymore. That's sad.
They won't allow them to have press passes.
Yeah, I think those guys should definitely. Fox News is in there, obviously. CNN, MSNBC, the BBC. There's several of them from all over the world. But I think they should definitely have those guys in there, because there's folks that have given up on mainstream media completely, and they're getting their news from other places. And we need to make sure that we disseminate this information to those places. Now, those places may twist and turn that news any way they want to. We could talk about that indefinitely right now. But anyway, they should be there. They should be available for that news. And there should be an opportunity for them to ask questions and Jen Psaki to provide those answers for them,
right?
Whether they're good or bad or ugly.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, I agree with that 100%. So really, the only quote conservative news outlet that's allowed in the room is Fox News at this point. So you've got none of these other, OAN or anybody else, Daily Wire, my fair. They're not going to be granted press passes to go into the. Now I get it. You've got to put a limit on those sorts of things. But here's the thing: is I like you. Now I don't work from home, but I work from a truck, and so I get to hear all of Biden's press releases on why he did this particular executive order, that particular executive order, and again, I am not a rabid meat eating Trump supporter. I mean,
no.
I am not. I'm about. I try as best I can to make my ideas, or to look at all of this from the perspective of ideas. I'm not trying to I'm not following a cult of personality. I want to know what your ideas are. So far, I haven't seen Biden throw me too many bones saying, "Hey, Matt, I'm your president, buddy." And the reason that I am reversing this travel ban is because we feel like that if we reverse it, then what we're going to see is a greater level of national security. We're going to be able to secure our situation better. We're going to be able to monitor these things better if we have this. If we lift these travel bans, that's That's the purpose
Right.
behind it. So far, all I'm seeing is that along those types of lines, I'm a big believer in the wall because I've got
Hmm.
friends and have followed enough border security agents to say it's great when we have a wall. That is so super helpful. It just really just to facilitate our work. Okay, if not for nothing, hey, let's help those guys out down at the border. Give them a wall that'll make their lives easier. Okay, I'm for that. And so
Right.
what does it? And then on top of that, I'm hauling steel out of steel mills where they've had government contracts pulled out from under their feet because of Biden's executive orders. Another example is
Hmm.
the Keystone Pipeline. And granted, you're not talking about vast numbers. You're talking about 10, 20,000 jobs. It's a drop
Hmm.
in the bucket. I get it. But
Hmm.
what it's the principle of the thing. It's like, okay, if you're gonna rip these contracts out from under people, if you're going to hamstring the border
Hmm.
patrol, if you're going to lift these travel bans from certain countries that were put in place by Trump, whether for good or ill, okay, explain to us how this helps and why this
Okay.
just is why that so that would be that's not what I'm seeing from Biden. And then
Well, let's
when we
pick
talk
on
about
let's pick on the wall for a second.
okay,
So before Trump, we had walls, we had fences, we had all kinds of things. It was a hodgepodge of all kinds of things. Now we got a big, beautiful wall that has replaced a lot of those fences and things. Not any really new wall, a few miles of new wall, but most of it's just maintenance and putting in new fence or wall wherever the old stuff was, because developing new right of ways and construction permitting and EPA permitting and all that really held them back. And I know that. Okay.
yep,
So, but before Trump, we already had all those things in place. We already had fences big and beautiful like Trump's wall, but we already had all those things. We already had an immigration policy that we're still living with today. Trump didn't change the immigration policy. He didn't change anything as far as any legislation around immigration or how people come into the United States. He made a couple of executive orders about, he playing with a wall, putting kids in cages, all that kind of thing. And Biden's gone back and undone those things. So really, Biden has gone back to the status quo. That's my contention with that.
okay. So but my question is that's where again so you've got your rabid Trump supporters who are just everything that Trump does
Mm-hmm.
is gold, and then
Right.
you've got somebody like me who is a conservative,
Mm-hmm.
voted Republican straight down the ticket, voted for Trump, who uh, you know, and I'm looking at what's going on, and I saw benefit to our country by what Trump did, and now I am lacking the information to know why it is that it's better for our country that we don't have, say, the XL pipeline, that we don't continue the
Mm-hmm.
border wall building. Again, I had many questions about Trump's travel bans when he first came in. I didn't really like those. So please,
Well,
please,
the XL pipeline's the thing. The XL pipeline was already canceled before Trump took office. It was already canceled. They were doing no more investing in it. They didn't hire any more people. It was canceled. And then Trump, in an executive order, said, "Yep, now we're going to do it."
okay, but yeah,
So all
right.
these people
Right. So, but
can
that,
start
but
investing money.
in my estimation, that to have that pipeline to get oil from Canada, down to
But
the
that's your estimation.
what?
Whenever it was canceled the first time, there was all kinds of studies done. They did years of studies. Do I need this pipeline? What's the environmental impact? What's the route? They changed the route, I don't know, 100 times on that silly pipeline. The company I work for up in Canada, their office in China, well, it was designed from the office in Houston, but the work was actually done in China that designed that pipeline across the United States. So I'm very familiar with that pipeline, and the process that went into it. And now I'm not familiar but they did. I'm not exactly what killed it or why Obama killed it, but it was because he had the information to make a conscious decision. He didn't kill that pipeline just going, yeah, screw Canada. Yeah, screw anybody that's working on it right now. That is not how Obama made that decision.
Well, okay,
What
so
Trump
all
did
right,
when he
no. Now, time out. See, that's where that's where I'm having a problem. I mean, you've got to explain these things to me, right? So I'm a Trump supporter, so I'm kind of stupid. I'm a little slow. I'm not very intelligent.
I'm trying to give me one more second.
Okay.
Again, okay. So it was already canceled for a couple of
Yeah.
years before Trump tried to resurrect it. If Obama had all that information and he knew that he needed to cancel that pipeline because of whatever it was, EPA, environment, all these different studies that go on, because I've been through this. It takes years to get this stuff done. Okay. With the type of work I do, I've been through this. So there was a decision made, and it's a hard decision to make to cancel something like that. It was done before Trump came on board. And for Trump just to do it did he have it? Did he take into account any of those things?
Okay, so no, but here's
he just depended and say,
okay, so but
make it look good for all the conservatives. They want to make jobs, and
again, that's so we're talking about unity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, let's say that Trump came in and he knew his base wanted a wall. I mean, that was one of the big things that won him the presidency. He knew his base wanted energy independence. They wanted security from terroristic threats. Stronger foreign policy in different areas. The useless waste of our boys on endless wars, these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So the contention you're making is that Trump just came in there and gave his base all they wanted without doing any research or without any advice from anybody on anything, and he just did all these things just to throw red meat, I guess, again to his base.
I think I know you're trying to defend Trump on this, but I'm just saying these things with the government don't happen overnight. They don't happen in a year. Okay, for Trump to come up with an executive order with that much impact, it came up as oh my gosh, I should maybe do this. He didn't campaign on it, but he did it about a year after he was elected, a little less than a year. So why did he do it? What prompted him to do it? What was his motive to do that? Why? Because Obama had disapproved it? Was he trying to negate something Obama did? What was his motive for making that change?
Well,
you have to go back and look at one of those things. But going back is what I'm trying to say is that a lot of Joe's stuff is for unity is because he's righting the ship. He's getting us back to making decisions the right way. He's getting us back to the status quo so we can move forward, okay? There's been a lot of Trump decisions that have just been the wrong decision. So let's back those out. And he did that. He came in prepared the first day, wrote executive orders that negated a lot of things. He didn't wait till 6 weeks into his prep. Everybody says, he's writing more executive orders than Trump. He has not written more than Trump. He's written more earlier than Trump. I'll grant you that. But
he's written more than any other president in the history of our country.
No, he has not.
In the first 2 weeks of his presidency, he has.
Yes, in the first 2 weeks. Do you know what I say about that? He was prepared when he walked in the door.
Okay, so
he already knew what he was going to do.
Well, but
he didn't have people.
But Jeff, the thing of it is, okay. So here's all right. You want unity. You've got to explain to me how it is that, and not just you. This has got to come from President Biden. He's got to explain to me why it is you're canceling the Keystone Pipeline and why that's better for America than continuing it. All right. Whether Trump did it for good or ill or to throw meat to his base, whatever it is, you've got to explain to me why I need to get on board with you canceling the Keystone Pipeline.
Right.
Why it is that now this steel mill in southern Indiana no longer has government contracts because we've canceled the wall. How is that better? You've got to explain to me how that is better for me as an American citizen who voted against you, and you've got to try to explain to me how it is that what you're doing by reversing all these things, returning them to the status quo, you've got to explain these things. And I had the same luxury you do. I get to hear every Biden speech, and I have yet to see him say, hey, look, you guys that voted for Trump, who really wanted this wall to go up, let me explain to you why we're stopping it and why it's better for our country that we do stop it. He has yet to give a speech like that.
Mm-hmm. So your picture just went off, so I'm not sure if we're broadcasting right now or not. There we go.
No, we are.
Now.
Yep. Oh, I'm good. Okay. Yeah, a little minor disruption.
Anyway, so, I'll give you one example that I really picked up during the Trump administration. The caravans only started coming up to the United States. Now they keep talking about a caravan this, caravan that. They happen to come up at midterm, and they happen to come up whenever there was a big wall. But now, and then right when Joe was getting ready to be inaugurated, we were talking about how Joe was going to be soft on immigration. So now the caravans are on their way again. This week and last week, caravans are disappeared. I don't know what happened. It's people playing. It is just people playing politics. So I'm going to go back to saying what I said before, is that there was a reason the Keystone was canceled, and it was about environment stuff. There was farmers or ranchers that didn't want the pipeline to go through their land, so it's been rerouted several times. There was indigenous land that couldn't be breached with that pipeline. That finally was. On and on and on and on. That pipeline was planned and designed and redesigned for 10 years before Obama canceled it. Okay. In fact, this is the twin line. This is the second line, the part that's unfinished right now. There actually is a part of the Keystone that is finished and delivers oil all the way down. This is one that cuts the corner there, and I have to show you what it looks like on the map. But there's only one little section of it that's not finished. And it's not like the whole Keystone Pipeline is not finished and it's not going to deliver any oil. They've got a little part of the Keystone Pipeline that's not finished, that's not going to deliver the extra bit of oil. So they're going to have to ship that another way. But if you want to get into politics, the crazy stuff is Canada. Oh my gosh. I cannot, first of all, the United States takes advantage of Canada from their heavy oil coming out of the oil sands and buys all the oil at a discounted price. And the reason they buy it, they'd like to say, is because, it's dirty oil. Well, first of all, if we're American, we want to be a clean refinery. Why would we buy dirty oil? But we want it because it's part of that's why our refineries we design, because we used to buy oil from Venezuela, which has a similar type oil, so they didn't have to redesign their refineries down in the Gulf Coast. Mm-hmm. So saying that, Canada is kind of crazy for just having one customer, because when you have one customer, you don't have competition, and then you have price fixing, and that's what goes on with Canada. That's what's been killing the oil sands. So the best thing for Canada, build a pipeline to the coast and start selling their products, oil, refined products, and natural gas to the world versus the United States. If you look at the oil tankers that are going around the world, nothing goes to Canada. Everything goes to the United States and Saudi Arabia and everything else. So that's where Canada really should be. So I get to Canadian politics. Sorry about that.
No,
that's what happens when you live up there.
No.
I digress.
Well, but again, what the concerns of the Republican base, let's just say, would be with something like, okay, let's not import oil from Canada via a pipeline. Let's instead import it from Saudi Arabia. Do those who drill for oil in the Middle East practice the same kind of, are they as environmentally conscious as we are here in the United States?
Matt, we do import oil from Saudi Arabia.
Oh no, we do.
Yeah.
Well, we do.
Yeah, we do.
And so how
I know
much?
I know everybody's independent, but we're not energy independent. We are a net exporter. which means we export more than we import. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it means. So we export all kinds of different things. We export all kinds of different oil, but we import less than we export. We still buy 9% of our feedstock from Saudi Arabia. So
So do we
when
want?
you go off on
So
this
the
tangent,
question. So the question is, do we want to increase that? So the again, circling back to Jim Pisaki. Let's circle back. I'll circle back to that for you. What you've got to give me your pitch. Again, I'm not asking for a lot here. Tell me how it is that cessation of work on the Keystone Pipeline, cessation of work on the border wall is better for America, and while you might think that Trump had the best ideas on this, President Biden, am telling you that that really isn't helpful to America. And if we stop construction on this pipeline, if we stop construction on the wall, here's how this will help America. Again, you can, I'm just not hearing that kind of messaging from the White House.
He should put his messaging out better. Okay, let's say that. But let's face it, the unclimbable, unscalable wall is not unscalable. People run up and down.
But okay, great. Hey,
it's not a wall.
Jeff, I wish you were President Biden, where you would sit down. Yeah, where you would sit down and say, "Hey, this wall building thing is a ridiculous idea." I mean, it's not a ridiculous idea. We understand why you who voted, you Republicans feel like that a wall is a good thing. Let me lay out in detail for you, as President of the United States, why this is a bad idea, why it's a waste of money. Republicans, now you start talking about waste of money, Republicans' ears perk up. Okay, you start saying that's a waste of money. Hey, tell me about it. If it's a waste of money, I don't want to waste money. I'm already very much against government waste as a Republican.
Well, I think whenever he brought out that executive
convincing message,
we got to dumb it down.
Well,
so
that doesn't simply turn into Obama did this, Trump did that, so Biden's doing this. All right.
Okay. I should get away from that too, personally, because, I just think about it. I know what goes into putting a pipeline across the nation.
Sure.
And it's unbelievable because, think about it. And it's putting it across every township and every farmer's land and every single person wants to have a say-so as that crosses the United States. So you can imagine what it takes to dot all those I's and cross all those T's. And then everybody has an opinion about not just the only reason you're looking at it is economically, but everybody has an opinion about the environmental impact, which could be huge on a pipeline. Statistically, it's not, but it's not just the environmental impact of a spill in a pipeline. It's the environmental impact of the actual construction and maintenance of that pipeline too, because you've cut a swath across the entire country.
Yeah.
Everybody that's I mean, if you're going on the interstate, you're crossing the interstate on 90, you cross that pipeline. Yep. There's a place you cross that pipeline, right? Who we got today?
It's Jen.
Oh, great.
In, Jen.
Hey, Jen, how you doing?
My earbuds are crapping out. That was, I think, our original problem. I've got.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
You know where there's some.
You want to run down to the corner store right quick?
Not really.
Well, if you get a chance. My earbuds are crapping out. That's why I was having trouble hearing you before. It was the earbuds.
I got it. All right.
She's gonna run to CVS. Hopefully, we'll get some proper. I'm having all kinds of problems today, as you've noticed.
Yeah, you.
Man, I'm a real piece of work.
You said you got somebody to support you on that.
Yeah,
right?
we are gonna hopefully get this.
The pipeline thing. I don't think maybe President Trump went through a whole nother analysis of all that happened to turn that pipeline off. I don't give him enough credit. Maybe he actually did, or he had his people go through it all, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to create 10,000 jobs." I'm just using a round number. I don't think the number was anywhere close to that because I know how a pipeline's built, and it doesn't take 10,000 people to build a pipeline. Okay, and all the pumping stations are complete already; they're finished, so that's done. It takes probably around 1,100, not 11,000. I think some people have been adding extra zero on there, but anyway, because most operators, they're digging a hole, they're holding the pipeline up. You got some welders going on, you got inspectors, you got management, you got all the anyway.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's the thing is, and that's why I always look forward to Saturday because I need an explanation as to why I should be why should I be on board with any one of President Biden's executive orders. Okay, so and again,
so let's talk about the wall one too. Okay, everybody's worried about people coming to our country with these illegal aliens and I'll use the caravan for a really good example. When the caravan's coming up here, where do they cross the border? They don't do it in the middle of the desert where a wall would be, do they? They go straight to an entry point and they want to claim asylum. So that wall does nothing to stop a caravan. Zero. Absolutely zero. Because most of the places where the wall is, well, I shouldn't say that. Most of the places where Trump wanted to put a wall, if it would continue, would be across desert where nobody's around, where it's 3 days walk to get to the wall, that kind of thing. The place, but I gotta say one thing though, is the places that the wall was actually built was there to fortify or replace existing structures that were already there. So we do have a consistent look now when we get to the border. I like that.
Okay.
He's upgraded it all. It looks good. But to go across mountainous terrain where no human being has walked for decades doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
whatsoever.
so, well, right. And so, and that's, again, why I look forward to this in a lot of ways is I'm not getting this from my president. My president.
Right. No, he needs to say that. He needs to say,
Right.
They don't go through the wall. They don't go through the wall. They actually go through a gate.
Right. So
I mean, that's what.
Yeah. So right. But again, here's okay. So to the. Let me see if I can channel. Forgive me, I'm losing my voice here for some reason.
Right.
Major problems today. Let me channel the hardcore Trump, throw me the red meat base. All right.
Right.
President Biden is still those people's president.
Yep.
What as that kind of person, what I'm seeing is that for the past 20 years of American politics at the executive level, what I've seen is George W. Bush do this, Obama reverse what George W. Bush did, Trump reverse what Obama did, and now Biden reverse what Trump did. That's all I'm seeing. No rhyme or reason behind it other than, for political gain. I don't see. I'm having a very difficult time seeing any one of President Biden's executive orders or his actions so far, even up in including the relief package, that is not signaling to me he's doing the exact same thing Trump did. He's coming in and his, the 80 some odd million people that voted for him, he's coming in with a mandate and he is going to do what those people want, irregardless of really the practical ramifications politically behind any of this. Now, I will grant you that Trump was probably as guilty of that sort of thing as anybody. Now, this is me speaking, but just from a 3,000 foot, 35,000 foot perspective, that's what it looks like. You've got this administration does this, next administration comes in, cancels it, next administration comes in, cancels that. Why? Not for anything that is beneficial to the American people, but because this benefits them politically. And so
you and I dig into the issues a little more than some people do, and I get that. Okay, so we understand some of the levers that get pulled and all that kind of thing. And and I don't think everybody has to listen to it. I think that, or everybody has to dig in like we do and listen to it all day long, every day.
Right.
There's a lot of people that just want to live their life, and they live in sound bites. And they used to watch, Walter Cronkite on the news, and he'd lay it out there, and he had credibility. They could trust the guy. Now they get a different kind of sound bite. It's like they get a sound bite that maybe, and I'll go back even 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I used to listen to Rush all the time. Mm-hmm. That's the sound bite I wanted to listen to back then, right? Mm-hmm. And Rush was hard, man. He's always been hard all the way through this, his whole career. He's ultra conservative, ultra right. He pulls no punches, and I used to listen to him a lot. So some of those folks that have grown up that way, they don't have time to get into it like we do. They don't want to look for all the issues. And I see what you're saying is they go, well, this guy's just negating that guy. He's just canceling. It's back to almost like a cancel culture.
Right. He's
just canceling him out. They don't look at why they're canceling a specific issue. They're just going, yeah, he's canceling him out. So now we got to live by the Democratic point of view. I had a guy hit me on my one DM yesterday. He just basically said hello, and I'm like, hi. And right whole tirade, I got about 6 paragraphs of all the things Biden's done wrong. And, it's just like, even guys like me, I'm tired of trying to educate other people too. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of, it just takes time and energy to do it, to try to tell people the truth, So I end up nowadays, I hate to say it, like that guy yesterday, I just typed back to him, we've discussed these things before. You're perpetuating lies. Have a nice day. Be done with it, right?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. So the problem with it is that, again, as stuff has become so polarized, that somebody, and this is, I'm still hopeful, I am, that the Biden administration will be the one to blink and say, okay, enough of this. We're going to start explaining to you, we're going to, let's just slow down. See, that's what worries me about all, the very, very many executive actions that Biden has done. Again, I get it. He's trying to reverse Trump's screw-ups in his mind.
Yep.
But what if in my opinion, if he really wanted unity, he wouldn't have come in like that. He would have said, okay, everybody, look. We want to try to, as best we can, issue by issue, executive order by executive order, piece of legislation by piece of legislation, explain to you why the Trump administration was off kilter here, why this wasn't good for the American people, why it's not good for you. We're going to take this slow. We're not going to ram it down your throat. We're not going to force you to accept it. But, but here's one issue, the pipeline. And here is Mr. Jeff Herring to explain why the pipeline isn't necessarily good for America or Canada or anybody else. It's just been this political football, and it's costing us money. It's costing, it's causing problems. And here's this person to explain why it is that we're discontinuing this, other than, because again, even from my perspective, and I'm not a red meat Trump eater. From my perspective, this is just virtue signaling. This is just Biden coming in and saying, "Oh yeah, Trump, you did this. Well, I'm going to do that. You think that the pipeline is good for America? Well, most of the world thinks that fossil fuels are something that we need to phase out as soon as possible. So the one way I'm going to do that is to cancel this pipeline, so that we're forced to seek, whatever.
So that's the other part of it. You get your guys like Ted Cruz down there, and Abbott, the governor down there.
Yeah.
They're oil and gas, oil and gas, and oil and gas because they're being funded by the oil and gas because that's their bread and butter because that's their state, and that's what everybody's funded down there.
Yeah.
And even that pipeline that goes all the way down to the Gulf Coast, the United States doesn't use that oil. You know that, right?
Well, sure.
It's just upgraded.
Right, but
It's just up.
well, wait,
off and just put
yeah, but well, okay, so
and send
but a state like Texas, the politicians in Texas. If I was a politician from Texas, I would be defending. Those are my people down there.
I know.
You're putting my boy who works in a refinery that I just shook hands with and got oil on my hands because I was going around palm pressing with these guys. You just put that guy out of work. That's the kind of sympathies I have for that sort of thing. And so again, that's what I think is frustrating. Okay, so let me just be straight with you. From my perspective, and all the things I've seen since Biden has been in office, there's you can't point to anything that has been a reach out to the Republican base, to Trump's base, whoever it is. Biden hasn't done anything like that. And sorry, inviting some senators over to the White